Hello, everyone. It's Lisa Turner here from Psycademy, and today I'm going to answer one of the questions that I get asked a lot, which is about what is a spiritual awakening anyway? We hear this term and we hear it used, so what does it mean? And one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you about this is I've just come off a training call where I've been teaching my certified spiritual practitioners how to read and how to perceive and read auras and how to do dowsing and muscle testing and things like that as diagnostic tools. And I started to talk about some of the experiences that I've been having, or that I had during my spiritual awakening, because seeing auras is one of the things that happens during a spiritual awakening. So I kind of thought, well, I get asked this question a lot. What the heck is a spiritual awakening anyway? So a spiritual awakening is, as the name suggests, a time, or it's that experience that an individual has when they transition from being aware only of the physical reality, so they awaken to something more. Now, what that more is something that we label spiritual, and what spiritual is different for everyone. So part of the process of spiritual awakening it's where you become aware that, there's just something more. So person going along through life and, they're focused on the job and the family and the bills and make enough money, and maybe you're getting a raise, and maybe getting the right boyfriend or girlfriend, or getting the house, getting the car, getting the other car, getting the bigger car, getting the second wife or the better boyfriend, and having the kids and getting the kids into the right school. And it's all about stuff. And it's not that it's not that they're not compassionate, kind, loving people, because they at that level, you do deeply care about other people. But this is it. It's at that level. Now, when you start to awaken to this higher level of awareness, what happens there is you start to be aware of something more. Now, that might be spiritual. So it might be spiritual. I'm going to come back to that, but it might be just the bigger picture. So this is where you start to be aware of, well, it's more than just gathering stuff. It's about having really deep, connected relationships. It's about feeling really loved and loving wherever you are. It's about caring about not only your immediate family or even your extended family. It's about caring about and taking care of greater groups of people, communities, different communities, people outside of your communities. This is where the barriers start to break down. This is where you no longer only care about your town, your county, your race, your species. So you start to be very aware of and care about animals, the environment, racism, breaking down those kinds of barriers, the ecology, the planet, society as a whole. So your awareness expands. Now, that might be as far as it goes, and it might also be even beyond that. So it becomes a spiritual awakening. So in a spiritual awakening, when that happens, you start to be aware of the non-physical. And the way that shows up is you might have crazy dreams. You might start to have an awareness of phenomena that we would label psychic. Now, the first phase of anyone's spiritual awakening is all about the phenomena. So you start to be aware of auras and telepathy and clairvoyance, and you start to maybe even speak to dead people. And sadly, for a lot of people, that's where they get stuck. They get stuck at the phenomena. So it kind of goes up in this kind of level, and then it levels off, and that's it. And then people think they're done. I can speak to dead people. I can see auras. That's it. I'm awakened spiritually. Now, the danger of that is there's a whole other level. And in fact, it really shouldn't ever plateau off again. I don't very often say the word shouldn't, but the idea of awakening to source, awakening to spirit, is that you're aware of the entire universe, that you exist as part of the universe and within the universe, and you are the kind of co-creator of everything you experience. So the universe creates you and you create the universe. So there's this symbiotic relationship. Now, one of the things that can happen during the early stages of your awakening, you've probably lived your life thinking that this is how it is and these are the rules, and things fit into boxes. And then suddenly the box is like there are no walls to the box. There are no sides to the box. There's no dimensions anymore because you've transcended this dimension. So you have crazy dreams, you have crazy experiences. Now, this can be quite challenging for people because part of that awakening is the willingness to let go of what you thought was real and true and open to what you start to sense and become aware of is greater than who you were before and what you knew before. And that transitional time can be very challenging for a lot of people. It can be very disturbing. It's like, I thought, unless I used to be an engineer. Well, I still am an engineer. I have a PhD in engineering. I spent years in the automotive industry developing better sensors for vehicles, secondary safety systems, primary safety systems for vehicles, and doing a whole bunch of research. I did research. My PhD is in Aero-acoustics. Stop talking about that, Lisa. It's not even interesting. But the point is, as an engineer, like my husband, he's a quantum physicist, right? We have some pretty crazy conversations because, like, as an engineer, we don't even believe in magnetism. Not really. Like, you can't see it. How do you know it's working? I remember having a design conversation. I was in a meeting, a design briefing about how to make a huge machine, very fast, spinny thing inside, very dangerous if you open the door when the spinny thing is spinning. Right, that's a very technical term. And so how do we stop the door opening when the spinny thing is spinning so people don't die? And there was this great conversation about, let's put an electromagnet, a solenoid, so that when the power's running through the motor and the spinny thing is spinning, then the door will stay shut. And that sounds like a great idea, but like, how do you know the magnet's actually on and how do you know it's working? So, you know what? Let's put a bolt on it as well, because you can't kick a magnetic field. I mean, you can, but your foot would go right through it. And you go, well, how do you know it's there? So engineers, we like what's real. And I remember my spiritual awakening when I was working, on the shop floor as a production manager and new product development manager, alongside the production manager, rather. So new product development manager alongside the production manager, creating new products, developing and refining products. So, I walked through swarf to get through my office. Swarf is there's little curly bits of metal that get shredded when you mill metal or when you put metal in a lathe. That was my reality. Things were real things were real. And there was none of this non-real stuff. We even didn't quite trust the wind because, certainly didn't trust magnetism. If you can't feel it, can't kick it, you don't know it's real. And then suddenly a whole world is opening up for me. I'm starting to answer my now husband's sentences, questions before he'd answer his questions before he'd ask them. I'm starting to sense other people's feelings. And the most profound experience, we're talking about auras today on our call. So I remember I had to go and pay my fees for my PhD, my bench fees, they're called. It was about, $7,000 a year or something to get a PhD. 4 years of that, add that up. That's how much PhD costs. So I had to pay my bench fees. I had to go to the office to do that. And there was the registrar there and handing over my check. Yeah, it did hurt. And about half of my salary at the time. And handing over my check. And I looked at the register and I thought, whoa, something's not right. And I had this instant bad feeling. I couldn't really identify it. And there was something and I had this whole kind of the world moving sensation. And 6 weeks later, he had died. About 3 weeks later, he was diagnosed with terminal cancer. And that was it. It was incredibly fast. And I remember thinking, whoa, I saw that. And one of the things I can now do, and it's sort of almost, I don't do it very often, and I only ever do it when I'm asked. But if I look at someone's aura, someone's energy body, I can be aware if they are about to manifest something that would look like either cell growth or cell death on the energetic level. And I can also see it on the physical level, even if it's not been diagnosed. The first time I became aware of this was a registrar. Second time was when a friend came round and I knew she'd been having lots of challenges with an organization she was working with. And as soon as she walked in the door, it was like, oh my God, she's got cancer. And she was diagnosed. She's now completely clear. And the third time was when I was at the Showgirl concert with Kylie Minogue, Kylie Minogue's Showgirl concert. I know, I admit it. I have pretty awful taste in music. Everyone in my family agrees. Don't let Lisa choose the tunes because the music will be terrible. I'm also not allowed to choose the films in my house. So apparently I choose terrible films. In fact, even I think they're terrible. I think, well, it looked good on the box or in the Netflix blurb. So despite my terrible taste in music and films, there I was at the Showgirl concert and I could see it in Kylie's energy body. Now, that was the moment I said, I never want to see that again unless I'm asked, because it was a little bit disturbing to see that going on. So that's one of the things I can do. And that happened, that started in my spiritual awakening. So your spiritual awakening will be whatever you experience. But during your spiritual awakening, you will be aware of something other, of source, of energy. And my invitation to you, if you do nothing else, I mean, I'd love for you to ask any questions you have and share your experiences of your awakening. And remember, don't get stuck in the phenomena. There's more to it than seeing spirit orbs, talking to dead people, seeing ghosts, seeing auras. There's more to it than that. It's a whole other level of being aware of absolutely being connected to the divine so that you can create real, deep, profound growth in yourself, transformation in yourself and others and the planet. And we're at a time where the whole world is starting to awaken. So join me on this exciting journey. If you have any questions, let me know. If you like this, then hit the likey button. If you really, really like it and you think others would benefit from this, hit the sharey thing. And if you love it, hit the lovey button. And if you have any questions, post them. Even if you're not watching this live, I will be very happy to answer them. I will come back later and type them in. Till then, lots and lots of love. Bye for now.